What's up, guys? If you want to see what this is all about, stick around. Yo, Troy Staxx in the building again, coming to you with a quick update on why I began to stack. Let's do it. What's up, guys? I was thinking, everyone always talks about why they began to stack. And so I figured I would tell my story also. Now, dealing with everything that was going on in the world, in March or everything with the scandemic and all that other stuff, it sucked because, it was a bad time for a lot of people losing their jobs, people, going into forbearance and all that other stuff. And I thought about it. I said, what can I do to protect like the money that we have and all like the other things going on in life, outside of the real estate that we have, the stocks we have, the 401ks, the IRAs and all that other stuff. I was like, there has to be a way I can actually protect my money. And so, you run across a couple commercials and stuff and everything else about, gold, silver, stuff like that. And I think the first thing I tried to do was I heard something on YouTube. I think it was Lear Capital. And then I got into it as far as just trying to get more information. They said something about that they'll send you more information. But what happened with me is they wanted to actually call you and talk to you and what they call assist in your financial freedom and everything else. And I said, well, okay, sure. So they called with it was so fast that they actually called me. It kind of sounded too much like it was a salesperson on the other end, because I believe there is some way you can make additional money on the back end. And I'm like, you know what? No, that's not me. Sorry. I don't want to get into all of that stuff. I just wanted to know how I could protect my my actual so-called what we call fiat dollars, the paper stuff. And I started looking. I didn't know too many places to go. I didn't know about the bullion dealers. I didn't know anything like that. And this is all in like March, definitely in March, because it was near my birthday, which is the 13th. And I'm like, I could see things are crazy, and New York and New Jersey were beginning to shut down like 100%. And I'm like, this is a bad situation happening. So I thought about it. I said, okay, here we go. I think I saw a couple of videos, and I really can't remember too much who they were, because when you're flying through stuff, you're trying to think a mile a minute and everything else. And I'm like, Amex comes up for everything. That's just the way it is. Amex on the other end, it was one gold at the time I was looking at. And I said, okay, well, my whole thing is, you had to put money into one gold, but I believe at the time you couldn't touch it for 60 days, or you couldn't use that money that you put in as their stocks. You couldn't take that and redeem it for physical gold or silver or platinum, whatever metal was possible. And I said, you really don't look at that stuff or hear too much about it later. That's the whole thing about being a new stacker. You're so anxious to jump into it, and then you really don't know what's happening. But I saw that, I did it, and I said, at the meantime, I said, this is Amex. What is Amex? So then I looked into it, and I said, oh, okay. And, of course, you go to Amex.com, right? And then I saw they had everything, and when you start, and it's like I said, you're anxious, you're going to go for everything. And I was looking at everything, man. And I was like, wow, this is good stuff. And you're looking at you're finding out what spot prices are and what they mean, and how many grams are in a troy ounce and all that other stuff. It was pretty good learning all that stuff. But I was like, how do I save my money in a way that I can have it? I really thought about it, and I said, well, has to be the way, because you started to like look it up more and like see what other people were doing. And my whole thing was, I really didn't have too much direction in the beginning. I just was like, silver is silver, gold is gold, whatever. I was just gonna go by, the troy ounce, and that was the whole thing. And I was like, you know what? It makes sense. So I just started buying stuff, and then you're buying more and more stuff. But this is the whole thing on why I have this stuff out. I was buying everything, man. I mean, the stuff that you see that I have, the stuff you see that I have is like a lot of the stuff that a lot of people, were looking at before and didn't want to buy because it was supposedly, stuff that, you can't like get rid of really quick or turn liquid. And I was like, I didn't know about the stuff. I know about the American Silver Eagles and all of that good stuff, the Maple Leafs. So I was all over the place, man, and I was fine with that. Because now, when I go back and look at how much these things are worth, it's crazy. And like everybody knows, I say it all the time. And it's weird because I'm thinking I really didn't have too much of anything, and I really started looking it was June 26, 2020. And that's like basically 3 months after all of the crazy stuff was happening. But so it actually took some time for me to actually start purchasing stuff because I wanted to know a lot more. But like I said, I jumped into it, and Atmex was the one. And by that time, the one gold money that I put into that, I was actually able to redeem. My whole thing about that is, I know there's some places that, they talk about how you can have, your stuff stored with them and everything. I'm not with all of that. I'm sorry. As long as I have it, I feel much more comfortable. That's my whole thing. If I could see it and hold it in my hand, I'm all for it. But that was the way I was thinking of how I can actually start to protect my wealth, because the whole thing is, you're looking at the news, you're looking at YouTube, you're looking at everything, and they're talking about this is going down, this is happening, everybody's waiting on stimulus money, stocks are up and down, you're worrying about your 401k and IRA going down. It's crazy, I'm telling you. So I figured, this is the way I can actually control my wealth and actually, play with the shiny stuff, at the same time. But I started to get it, then you start looking at people's videos and they tell you about the American Silver Eagles, the Libertads, the Geigers, the Morgans. Like, who knew about constitutional silver? Who knew it was junk silver? Who knew it was 90%ers? Who knew that stuff? It's all of that stuff comes along the line of learning, and that was the whole thing. As I learned to protect my wealth against all of this crazy stuff happening in the world with the fiat system. And then you hear, they're going for a new reset and everything, and it's crazy. But the thing was, I really looked at how I can actually spend money without using my money. And my whole big thing was, I used to always, collect sneakers. And that was my whole thing. I also got really lucky on a lot of the sneakers apps and stuff like that, and the foot store apps and all that stuff, like Foot Locker, Champs, all of them guys. The good thing was I was really lucky with that stuff, and I was really, really patient. That was my whole thing. And it was cool because, all of the stuff that I had, I said, you know what? I saw that, I think it was Staxx and it was GOAT at the time, that two that I was actually looking at. And I said, you know what? I wonder how much these sneakers that I collect, how much they're actually worth. So I started looking, stuff that I paid $110 for was worth $300, $140, $50, $400, stuff like that. The ones I paid $160 for, $170 for, were up to $400 also, like the kid sizes and grade school stuff like that. You're spending $80, $90 on. It was actually $300, $400. And I said, you know what? I just found how I can actually use someone else's money. That was the best way I can actually do it. So I would actually sell the sneakers on those apps sometime in person with people, and then take that money and use that to actually purchase my silver, because I really wasn't into gold. I kept looking at it saying, gold is expensive, man. I don't want to deal with that stuff. It's like, at the time, I think it was 1800 and something, or 1900. It was really crazy at the time, somewhere about, I think it was June. And I'm like, man, that's just too much. Well, I was actually started with the silver and everything like that at the end of the month. And I said, this is how I'm going to fund my precious metals. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's how I've done it for a long time, and I continue to do it now. It's crazy because I get a chance to, take that money and then turn it into something else, which is nice. And I think that's the way to do it, because that's how you don't get into trouble with your money and stuff like that, because it's money that you've actually made. It's all gains, you know what I mean? And I like that. It's all about, gains, capital gains and stuff like that. We don't want to deal with losses. That's the whole point. And I'm really happy with that because it worked out. And so I continue to do that so I can actually start purchasing more and more of it, which was crazy. And then I started to see that thing that I liked before, as far as wearing, the good clothes and all that other stuff, I had a lot of stuff that I can actually get rid of. And so I sold a lot of my stuff, man. It was crazy. But the thing was, it was money that was spent already, bills that were paid off already, debit card, credit card, whatever it was at the time, everything was paid off. So the best thing was, now this is all cake, you know what I mean? People were paying, good money for stuff that was used already, and the value of the dollar is crazy, because something, depending on what it is, was all designer stuff. It could be a coat that was $1,000 that's worth $1,600 now, and people are willing to pay that because they can't find it anymore, and people are just overcharging. So that was the way that got me started, man. And I was just stacking all of that money and buying more and more precious metals, and it was nice. And a lot of the stocks I picked at a while ago actually came through pretty big too, which was really nice. And I'm like, man, and working at the same time, you have multiple streams of income. That's the good thing about it. As long as they're positive streams, you know what I mean, legal, that's what I'm saying, it's always going to work out and you don't have any backlash. And that helped me out a lot, man. I was doing all types of stuff, trying to figure out how to use other people's monies, and that's the best way to go. And I saw, also I would take everything that would be in my account. Then I would, all these bullion dealers and everyone had the e-checks and all that stuff. So I would use that because it takes longer for the check to clear and everything. You'll see I said that in all my previous videos, but that's just the way it is. It took longer, but you got it for a cheaper price. And I like to buy in bulk, so you can get it for that as low as it always says. And I was loving that too, man. And then I ran into Instagram. Then I started to see that people sold on Instagram like it was no tomorrow, and a lot of the big bullion dealers didn't have stuff like that anymore, or it was out of stock, and these guys had it. So that was another avenue of actually being able to purchase a lot of the precious metals. And I still order from Atmex, and then there was SD Bullion. It was all of them, man. Money Metals Exchange. If I could name them all, I would. But it's crazy. I ordered so much from these guys. I got folders and folders of all of their purchase orders and everything else. It's crazy. I thought it was crazy because you look at what you have now, and it's crazy for being somewhere basically into 8 months of stacking, I think it is now, or something of the sort, to be where I am now. It's crazy. And I said, I'm looking at what the stock market is doing now, and I'm like, what do I do next? You know, you see silver is pretty much on its way. It's going to do something good sooner or later. I'm fine with it. I thought about it and I said, you know, I'm going to take a break for a little bit because I want to see what it's going to do. You know, if something good pops up, you know, it's kind of crazy not to continue to build your stack. That's the way it is. Like I said in my New Year's resolution and everything, I was going to continue to do all of the precious metals. So I still have stuff coming in from like the IG dealers and Atmex and a couple of other places. It's just, you know, not going to be at that same pace only because I want to see what it's going to do. Because honestly, when I started, you can go back, it was probably still at $16, a little over 16 to 17 in June. And I loaded up, man. I got a lot of this stuff. A lot of these, like I was going through and this whole thing was at that price. I mean, you got Philharmonics, you got Britannia, you got everything in here. And I was going crazy, man. Lady Staxx was like, you got all of that stuff. And when it did go up a little more, I think it was closer to 30, I was buying generics because I knew they wouldn't have so much of a premium on them. And I was all over them, man, but I was, you know, I was all over the place. And now I'm glad to see that the stuff that I actually was picking still is worth a lot now. So I thank God for that, definitely. I was really happy. But, you know, to be stacking for basically 8 months and see that the stacks that we have, actually, it was funny because even at the LCS that we go to, Lady Staxx was the first one to buy a gram of gold. And that's what sparked me to actually get gold. I was looking at that and I was like, wow, she bought her first Canadian maple leaf. And I was like, man, I can't let her like get all of the gold and I don't start. So I was constantly jumping on silver and I was waiting for the silver to gold ratio to get closer so I could transfer, you know, and trade a majority of my silver and get the gold because, you know, wealth is in the gold. We all know that, but we'll see if it goes up the way it should be. I'm talking about silver. I think we'll all be sitting pretty in a few months, and it's going to be nice, man. But I just wanted to say it's possible to do anything, man. It really is. Everybody has a story, and that's the big thing about it. Everyone has a story. You have to figure out when you're going to do it. Don't go for that fear of missing out stuff. That just don't fall for that. You know what I mean? Just do it when you can. Do as much as you can, and start when you can. And my whole thing was, I kept saying, you know, strong shields are made of metal. They're not made of paper and promissory notes. I heard that on Lynette Zhang. That's what it was. It was Lynette Zhang that said that, and it made all sense in the world. As long as you have it in your possession, you should be fine. This is you know, this is money at its base. That's all it is. It's good stuff. You can do a lot of stuff with it. You know what I mean? That you can't do with paper. And if you don't see too much paper, and you see what this whole new reset is all about and everything, everybody wants to be digital. You see the cryptocurrencies. I'm not going bad about that. I'm not going on that. But I'm just saying, that's where everybody's heading right now. And I don't know how much I feel too good about that because I like to be able to count my money, you know what I mean, in my hand. Not all of it can't be counted in the hand. I'm just saying, you know, I like to have it, be able to see it. I don't like just seeing it in digital form and stuff like that because you always think if something goes wrong, it goes right to zero. And where did it go? And, you know, of course, it's that so-called stuff in the bank with the FDIC and everything only securing up to $250,000. That would be a big loss for a lot of people that has more than that. So it's not worth it. So when you have this stuff, have it in your possession, and please don't have it in those some so-called vaults and stuff because I don't trust them. You shouldn't trust anybody else with your money because they probably wouldn't trust you with theirs. This is Troy Staxx saying peace. Stay blessed. And we out. Peace.